Hi, Darshana.
Hello there.
I'm so happy that we finally get to talk. I met you first time in Ibiza last year.
Uh-huh.
Um, and my first impression was not like one on one because you were just around. Like we were walking, we were visiting the crystal place.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
just remember I noticed your voice first. There was something about your voice that I liked because it's very deep and it's very grounded. uh, and you talked to us like anybody that was around. You naturally just communicated with us and shared already like the with human design and your how you see it.
Mm,
And I remember I like immediately liked your presence, like your being.
that's nice.
Yeah, and then I saw your chart and I was like, oh, there's that root, there's that groundedness. So I was like, that makes sense to me. So it was really nice. And I also remember because you could pronounce my name.
Yeah,
And then I learned that you live in Denmark, yeah?
yes.
How did that come about, the Denmark thing?
Well, the short version is I met a guy.
Yeah.
But and basically that is it. I was living in New York City working as an actress. I have an MFA in acting, and I went to New York from California and worked there for some years and just kind of like completed that cycle and bought a one-way, made some money on television and then bought a one-way ticket to Europe and wandered about for a bit. I just basically said, let the winds of fate blow my boat. I had no plans. I just knew that I did what I could see, the way that it was going in New York and my work as an actress. I could see where it would go. And I could see how it would work, and it was fulfilling and all that. So then third line, I was like, well, then I don't need to do that. Let's go do something I don't know. And so I ended up wandering around Europe. Well, actually, I lived in a spiritual community for about a year, on Lago Maggiore, just in northern Italy. And then I wandered about for some months doing past life sessions for people, being booked. People would organize. Somehow I had wandered into that. and and that was actually really lovely because I felt like I was making a contribution, which is what the acting had wanted to be. I wanted to make a contribution to, I don't know if that's the right word, but I grew up in an abusive home and I didn't understand why people hurt others. And so I wanted to contribute to easing the pain. The acting that I did, I wanted to be in shows that helped make life make sense. And the story of the past life, whether, I wasn't attached to it being real or not. I just noticed that when people went through the process, something opened, something could come up to the surface. And when things are revealed, somehow we heal, it comes to the light. And so I did that for a period of time. I can't remember how long. And then I thought, okay, I'm ready to go back to the States, back to California. Um, I want a baby now. So I was going to have a baby. I wasn't in a relationship, but I was ready for a child, and I had never been ready for it. I was a spiritual seeker and an artist. I was not interested in propagating the species. And I'll start a theater in Northern California that's about healing and processes and understanding what people do. And then there was this one guy whose work I had heard about, a British man who worked with energy and stuff. And I thought, now I had known about him before I left New York. And I thought, I've never gotten around to seeing him. So why don't I do a workshop with him before I leave Europe? And that was happening up in the north of Denmark on Jutland. And so I was down in southern Germany in Schliersee. So I was like back in 87. So that was, the dark ages in terms of internet and getting around on things. And so trains and buses and to this group, and that's where I met Nils, and he's staying. So that that began a whole nother something because yeah, I'd always had a connection to intuition. My grandmother said we were the Scottish background, and she said her grandmother had had the sight, and I'd always had a little bit of a connection to the unseen, and I have gate 57 pointing available, so and being a splenic being. And so I had a download in the 1987 where just this energy came in saying you're moving to Denmark, you're going to be together with him, you'll be together for many years. This was the end of October, no, November, beginning, somewhere in there. You'll be pregnant in January, and the child will be one of us. And so I came out of that and I thought, well, yeah, I mean, he's a cute guy, but I mean, and so he lived in a collective here in Denmark, a group of people who came together who had this energy teachings that they were following. And so I said, I'm thinking about coming to Denmark and, living in your community for a while. And he immediately said, you're going to live with me. And he was shocked that he said it because he was a bit of a rogue up until that point. And I was surprised because I was like, how did he know? And so I came up and then I told him the rest of the download. And he was like, I think it's a bit early, having a child in a month or a month and a half.
Let's have dinner first.
Yeah, and I just said, well, they didn't say which January. It could be 2 Januaries away. I don't know. And so, of course, my beautiful boy on the cross of healing, which is what I needed in the family, to repair all the damage that had been there, to have unconditional love and an emotional manifester who was on that cross of healing, and people as he grew up called him the hugging boy. He was a gentle, loving being and still is. And so that's how I ended up in Denmark. That's the long version.
That's quite a story, actually. It suits the movies. Like, speaking of acting, it's a good story.
Yeah. Yeah, you can. I used to think, after living here in Europe for a period of time, and I go back to the States every year and spend a month and a half, 2 months, because I love California and I'm tribal. I love my family and friends, and so I like to go back and be there. But I grew up on a farm. My dad was a farmer. He grew tomatoes and sugar beets, and we lived out in the country, and I, helped drive tractors, and I thought I could never have in that world imagined me living in Europe and all of the, it's like we can't know where the path is going to take us. It's quite extraordinary, if we allow it.
It's interesting to me always, like, especially when I speak to splenic projectors, or splenic authorities. It's already, I mean, we already are who we are even before we meet human design. It's just a way to discern what we're not, basically. But this, wherever the wind blows, like it's like you already knew this is the way to travel this earth. It's just see where the wind takes me. It's like, I like that.
Yeah, well, I had been a lot like that. I think probably because of the way that the home environment was, that I at university, when I took a lot of different things before I settled in on music, and I was studying to be an opera singer. And then I moved, after 2 years, I moved over. I thought I should be an opera singer who can act, because they're all so silly up there with their positioning. And so I added a double major and said I'm going to be an acting and music major. And then I ended up migrating over into the story. I'm a gate 56 storyteller for my Mercury. And so but the thing about the music was I could feel purity of existence move through my body when I would sing and when I would allow the sound to come out and to listen to the sound. I mean, to be permeated by it. And so I think that, and I was so isolated because of being in an abusive family. Everyone was broken. And so there wasn't really a sense of connection with others. So I was very much of a loner. And And so then it was to see, well, then who am I outside of any kind of definition? So kind of an existentialist from the beginning.
I love that sound and music is part of your journey because it's an important part of mine. So, and I always ask this question, like, what role is sound and music in your life, and do you distinguish between the two?
Yeah, well, to me, the thought that, because before I even did that, as a teen, I'm from just the tail end of the hippie generation, and so of course played the guitar, and I learned to play the violin when I was in my teen, maybe 10, 11, 12, 13, and then the piano, and the thing that moved me was my favorite thing was like when I lived in San Diego and was getting going as a music major, and there would be storms outside, and I opened the doors and I'd light candles on my piano and I would play Rhapsody in Blue or something, just like, because it just connected me to an aliveness that was outside of any kind of edit. It was just aliveness. That moment where I can sometimes go driving along and the earth is so beautiful. It's just everything's so exquisite in that moment that I just want to burst out into some sort of, I don't do it, but well, shock the people I'm with, but but some aria that I had learned or some riff of music, because I'm not limited classical music. I because of learning to play the violin, I love violin, classic and wild, Dan Hicks kind of violin, and
Do you still sing or play every now?
not so much. No, it was interesting to watch the cycles move through, because after I went into acting, and then I fell in love with words. Um, I studied Shakespeare and worked a lot with that, and would buy these books of word power made easy. So because I wanted to learn more words, I wanted to know the refinement of communication. How can we, just like sound, music is a way of communicating something without any kind of boxing. It's just sound. The same was with words. I wanted to know all the words, which is so ironic that I come to Denmark where and I have to kind of speak dumb English, because that's just not where most of the people who are using English as a second language are at. I think that's ironic. But I used to wonder, why on earth did I do music? And it really makes sense to me after coming into human design, because I'm a pattern reader. This is my design, is to read existentially the patterns that are here, and through awareness to attune to them. And music is the perfect expression of that, because if we could see every energy, if we could hear the sound of it, we just don't have the capacity in our ears, but everything contains sound. And so yeah, I find that I also studied astrology when I was young, and because it didn't make sense to me that I was a Cancer. I thought, this is silly. There is no way I want to make babies, cook, be a homemaker. How can they even say this about me? So then I had to study it to find out why on earth people were believing in it. And then I learned about ascendants and, the whole imprint, and all of a sudden I could see that it was reading patterns. It was really a way to understand something that our current capacity of understanding couldn't attune to. So, yeah, human design was my landing point for that, because it was a system that was without, people complain about it sometimes, saying there's boxes around it, oh, you have to say you're this and you're that. And like, if you're a generator, then you have to respond and stuff. And I'm like, no, you're not reading the patterns here. You have to say, this is a word. It doesn't matter anything. Weight, generator, they don't matter. They're asking you to attune to what that word represents. Like, what is waiting? Waiting is being available. I'm here. something going to show up, I'm here. So that's availability. It's presencing. And I found that to be so with human design and with Ra. I really enjoyed studying with him and being around his way of being, because it was so clean. He didn't want anything from any of us. There was no agenda. And that was the one thing I found where there wasn't the color of somebody's something in it. I always used to say, where's the lie? Everything I'd learned, I minored in religious studies at university because I was like, why do people believe in these structures? Because here I'm saying I'm a Christian, and so all the rest of you are going to hell. And it's like, that can't be right. It just doesn't make sense. And so I studied that. And ironically, I studied more of the Eastern religions. I was more interested in them. And so studying the Hindu religion and also Buddhism. And I had this wonderful teacher, and he brought in the I Ching. So I spent a long time studying the I Ching. And here I am with that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's for me too. This is what the system did, is like it explains to me what is, not how it should be, or it's just what is, so I can recognize it. Like you say, you read the patterns. I also have a lot of logic circuitry, so also I see the patterns. So yeah, last weekend we were at this concert, just a singer-songwriter. He was doing his thing on his guitar and piano sometimes, and my friend afterwards, she was like, well, he must be a generator because he has so much energy. And then I was like, no, that's a projector up there. And like, why would you say that? And then we look it up, and then he's a splenic projector. And it's like, it's just seeing what is. It's not thinking or opinionating anything on the words, like you say, what they are. And it's a very specific language, this human design system. And I also loved Ra for this. I remember in the beginning, I was like listening to Ra, and he would like slay the things that I had held sacred, and I loved it. It was like, what is this? Like, I was trying to understand. Yeah. So how do you wander around with this knowledge, with this awareness and this pattern recognition that the system has given you? What do you do with it?
My participation in the knowledge. I'm a teacher of it. I met it in 2005, in the summer of 2005, and it clicked. I'd been working with, as I said before, a lot of different other modalities that were all oriented towards trying to understand the essential being or beingness. And then when I met human design, it was just a plunge, a deep dive. And again, that was back in 2005. There wasn't that much internet. There was, I think it was dial up or something like that. I can remember I was at our summer house and that little bing, dreadful, waiting for it to download, and then printing everything so that I could read it, and started studying as soon as I could, had a reading, and then did as much as I could of Ra's teachings, but boy, he was expensive. And so it limited what I could do. But fortunately, they also gave loans back then, or they would let you make payments. And so I just kept doing it. And then when Ra died in 2011, he died just 2 months after my dad. And my dad had been the only stable thing that had been in the dysfunctional family that I grew up in. My mother was quite challenged emotionally and psychologically, and so and then Ra died, and I thought, I can't be in this world anymore. The two things, that one represented safety and security, and the other represented understanding of existence. And so then I connected with, I'd been auditing Genoa's classes at Human Design America, because I'd already been certified and everything, but I just kept taking it, projector style, got to keep taking it again and again and again. And I said, can I just hang out with you guys? You know, I mean, I just feel really lost. And he welcomed me beautifully. And I ended up being certified by Genoa, going through the whole process of teaching LYD, you living your design and photography, and then certifying it for all the analyst levels, also up through PTL4. And then things again evolved a bit. Linda invited me to go and represent to teach the cosmology courses at the school, international school. And then I also ended up working and teaching the professional classes at the schools. And that's where I work now. And pretty much, I don't have really, I'm not very ambitious. I just want to share. My design is I'm on the cross of service. I want to be of service. My Chiron is the cross of individualism. I want to be of service to individualism. That's it, and that's my ambition. I do have that channel 3254, which is the channel of transformation, a design of being driven. I'm insatiably driven to correct the pattern and support my tribe into rising up. But I'm driven by my personality moon there, which is in 54, line 4, enlightenment and darkenment. So I am driven to the alpha and the omega, the exquisiteness of understanding the mysteries, and sort of in a way, because it is we call it mysteries, but it's just this, and because we don't attune to it, and we become there's veils between our ability to see it, then we call it a mystery or mysticism. For me, it was always, but that's what's true. That's what's real. And the rest of it, I don't get. Humanness is not so easy for me to make sense of as it is to attune to the rhythm and the flow of this Maya.
Yeah, that 54-4 is it's a very special gate. It's like the only place in that system where the contrast kind of dissolves. This binary that everything else is in. So
yeah,
it's beautiful. But how do you combine this love for words and how you teach?
One of the things I say to the students is go behind the door. Here, I'm going to put up a word. Now, open the door. That word's on the door. Go open the door and go inside. Because I also, one of my other things before I got into music was I studied archaeology and anthropology. And it was really fun.
Throwing in all these different education, like amazing.
Yeah. Well, it was, third line. And I loved learning. I loved being at university. And so it's like I would be in there and doing this. And then I went over into German civilization and studied Hermann Hesse. And then I loved that. And then I think that the next step after that was the music. But one of the things in cultural anthropology that they talk about is define your terms. Like if I say love and you say love, do we know that we're both talking about the same thing? So if I say generator and you hear generator and you put it through your filter and your associations and your enculturation and context, we don't have an ability to communicate truly what we're saying. And so that's where I love words. It's like to be able to, a lot of times I will take the words that Ra has and I'll try and find another way that I can connect to it that comes in my Darshana language that I could say, this is what it feels like to me. Like when I was saying this about waiting, I find that the mental template that's associated with the word waiting is somewhat negative. And I understand generators like it. Okay. They like that word, or a lot of them do. And for me, it's an association with deferring your right to do your own thing, like to be you, and like a pushback. And so then I'm like, well, so how, because I feel what Ra was saying. So how can I say waiting that speaks from what I experience it as. And that's why I said it's like availability, you know, without an agenda. I'm simply available for life to show up, and I will go, yum, or I'll go, you know, like babies do when you want to feed them or something, and their little bodies just completely merge into it if it's correct, and they completely, you know, turn their heads away and they fight away from it if it's not correct. That's how I like to use the language, is to and because my Mercury is in gate 56, so the storyteller, to tell stories about it, because then inside the story, maybe you'll find your connection to the qualitative field that we're trying to identify their language.
That's beautiful. And takes a projector to get the rest of us to understand these things. It's like
yeah, perhaps, yeah, because we don't have this, at least in terms of the sacral, we don't have, I mean, we're just witnessing it, right? It moves through me. It's like, how does it feel? Oh, it feels like that. How does he do it? Well, she does it, you know? Yeah. Because when you are a consistency, you only know your consistency, right? And
or
that's
as
definition.
I usually say, the opposite, like you don't really know it because you don't ever get away from it. So
And that's kind of what I mean by
yeah,
you only know that, because that's your paradigm. It's like, this is how I move. And
it's like the goldfish swimming in the goldfish bowl, and then one goes, "How's the water?" and the other one goes, "What's water?"
yeah.
That's a little bit like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, it took me, I was like pondering for 5 years. I was pondering what is response. And it took a projector and a manifestor. I had like two non-sacrals actually explaining it to me so that my mind would understand. And then I started laughing because I didn't need to understand it at all because I do it.
Right.
But it was just an interesting, this like 5 years of struggling to try and figure out, what do I follow? You know, what's the thing? I'm sacral. So it's just, I just remember bursting out laughing when I got it.
That's sweet.
I do it. It's not something I need to understand or learn. It's already there.
Absolutely. I mean, the whole design is in place.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, but it took an outsider so that could see it, and I could see it, the play of it, to explain it to me. So yeah, it's very valuable.
I had that with the projector too. You know, this wait to be recognized, wait to be invited. And when I first heard it, you know, I collapsed. It's like, that's not fair. What, I just have to sit here and wait until you decide whether I can participate or not? You know, that's what I heard, because that's what I lived. Yeah. And because any kind of generating or manifesting that I did met with resistance and didn't work, you know, so then it would bump back into this sort of, all right, resignation and bitterness and so on. And then, so when I don't get it, then I have to, like astrology, like I didn't get it, so I had to study it. So I had to study what is projectorness, and what is waiting to be recognized, and watching what happened when I would come up with my good plan to fix people, you know, and how much resistance that I met with, and how sad it would make me, because I was like, well, I'm just trying to help you. And then I started associating it with, like, okay, it's a bit like raping somebody. You know, it's a bit like just saying, I'm going in there and doing to you. And then I got very shocked by the thought of it. And so then again, I had to, well, then, so what do you do if you don't do that? And like, don't, because if you could see what's needed, as projectors can, and you don't give it, aren't you failing humanity? My little sister, she passed away last month, unfortunately, but she was an amazing person. She was on the cross of masks, and she was an archetype. She was convictions, and she was the channel of tribal caring. And one time she was a 6'2" profile. She said to me about 10 years ago, so relatively late in our relationship, right? She said to me, She had this real gruff kind of voice. She goes, you know, you think I need your help. I don't. And I was, immediately thinking, because I had been 5 years older than her, I was always caring for her and stuff, and saw all the things, the trouble she got herself into and stuff. And I was thinking, yes, you do. And then it just boink hit me. And I went, who am I? This is what she was saying. Who are you to decide my life path? Who are you to determine which choices I make or not? If I have use for your guidance, I can ask for it. Otherwise, let me walk my path. And having been someone who wanted to walk my own path and not have anyone interfere with it, I could really get that. And that was one of the biggest things Lisa gave to me, was that moment of just stark truth. And bless her heart. And so that was me recognizing what a projector does. You gain awareness of wisdom, whatever the design is, because we're so many types. There's so much differences in the projected type. And then you just go about your life. And then somebody says, blah, 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 blah. And you go, use your authority to decide, or, engage or not engage. And yeah, so see, that's me having to tell a story to come behind, go inside the door of what is this whole wait for an invitation stuff, and not meet it as a limitation and a punishment and a denial, but as a beauty and a truth.
Or as an instruction. Like I've seen projectors that kind of stay in their house, don't do anything because, well, I need to be invited. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
maybe you should act like somebody that we want to invite. That's like, be seen and show us what you can actually see in us, and then we will invite. It's a different thing. And I also,
but that's, see, I would step away from that, what you just said, that maybe you should step out so we can see you and invite you, because it can't be based on what's external. Your loving yourself can't be based on acknowledgement from the external. It has to be from the recognition that I'm complete and whole as I am right now, without anyone inviting or recognizing me. I am fully me in this now. And I will go about in my fullness, in my meanness, as I am moved, letting the winds of fate blow my boat. And then if someone recognizes, okay, but that's not what I will seek at all. One must come back in and just rest in your own being.
That's a better words to it was something like that I was trying to say, is that if you are you, then I can come as an energy being to invite.
Yeah.
But if I don't know, like if you're either hiding or,
although
blaming my invitation to be wrong because you don't because then that's the external, like it's not from the external validation.
But haven't you ever noticed like something where somebody's off in a corner or something like that, and you don't even really see them, and then all of a sudden there's I see, to me, when you're embodied, when you're just wearing your energy and radiating your aura out, you can be inside your house and nobody's coming in, and then someone's going to go and say, maybe they have some sugar. Knock, knock, knock. That we will be found. If we're in the purity of our frequency, we will be found. And because we are here to commune with the other, we're here for that. And share our outer authority.
Oh, absolutely. Usually the best outer authority too, I find. When I talk to projectors, it's like, I have no idea what it's like to be you, and I'm not here to say anything about that, but I do know what it's like to be at the receiving end. And I don't need, like, sometimes I'll have a friend, projector friend, that'll just, you want to go for coffee? And then we meet up for coffee, and then maybe they go, Was that wrong? Should I have waited for the invitation? I'm like, you gave me a chance to respond, which was nice. And I responded because I want to hang out with you. And I would say no, I would go, if I didn't want to. And then if we just enjoy ourselves, have a conversation, and it's all good, that's very nice. But then if that projector starts to like go in and tell me what to do, tell me my decisions, a bit like your sister said there, and then that is no fun at all. So it's like, to me, it's the guidance that needs invitation. It's not the commune or the sharing of humanity, or being humans together. That's
I used to call it, what did I call it? No, I was just thinking that, if you have an agenda, like an intent. So if I'm inviting you to coffee because I want to tell you what I think about you, or I want to help you do something right or something, I'm not inviting you. I'm initiating some kind of connection with you so that I can do a dump, dump something out. And but if I say an impulse comes up and I'm like, hey, you want to go for coffee? Yeah. Okay, cool. And then of course it could be the friend had that just as the pure movement. And then they got hooked in, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about what she's been doing. And now I'm going to start invading her space with my guidance that hasn't been asked for. She invited or responded to an invitation for coffee, not for correction or whatever. So if there's an agenda in it, usually I think that's where, and that's what I meant when I said, is it clean? That's my spleen. My authority is the spleen. And I learned, I made a mantra out of it early on, which was, is it safe? Because I'm also a first tone and security is very important to me. And I have 7 open centers. So that also makes me feel really exposed to the world. So is it safe? Is it healthy? Am I going to go somewhere? Because I can also feel it if I go into an environment that's what I call then unclean. The spleen's part of the lymph system, or represents the lymph system. And the lymph is all about going and cleaning out all the bad stuff, right? And so my spleen needs to know, if I go and have coffee with you, is there some sort of lingering uncleanness in it that is going to make me feel unsafe, going to destabilize me? It might make me then try and guide you because I'm trying to avoid feeling that quality that's there. So my spleen is always just, is it safe? Is it healthy? And then my type, am I recognized? Because if you invite me, I always say this, Ra looked at my design. He said to me, you had an open root. He goes, it must be very uncomfortable for people to be around you. And I was a little like shocked at the moment, like, I'm sorry. But then I had to laugh about it because I have a really intense root and I'm pressurized awareness, and my sun and earth are in the root, and my personality moon is, I'm ready and driven as insatiable. And so that's like, am I recognized? If you invite me, guess who you get? Me, and it includes driven insatiability, And so that's the important thing for me with my authority, to recognize that I'm being recognized. Yeah.
Very nice. Do you know, probably the off question, months ahead of the conference too, is like we were just talking about, to the splenic authority, but do you have any idea of what you will bring to us for the conference?
Yeah, I'm just finishing up the teaching semester, and so there's been, like I teach this semester I taught the Incarnation Cross and the PTL4 and PTL1. And so there's themes throughout all those things of supporting people in their education as analysts. And I kind of latched on to, because I'm also teaching at the Ibiza event. So I have to like going, okay, so where do I bring there? And what do I bring here? And I think what I have energy for, what I'm curious about, what I'd like to share is the understanding of the Chiron as a way of understanding your life purpose. Because it meant a lot to me when I understood my Chiron was individualism. I mean, when I heard I was on the cross of service, I thought, that's no fair. I don't want to have to be a waitress or be serving people all the time, doing all the work. This is no fun. and over time, I got over that. But it was when I understood the intent behind the Chiron that was my flowering, and working through human design, I completely understood what my whole life was about by understanding that. And so I'm thinking that it might be that I bring as a theme for everyone who's there to explore for themselves as well.
That's exciting for me. I just went through my Chiron 2 months ago. So
Oh, congratulations.
good topic. That's 6-2 too. So yeah, so I really look forward to that.
Yeah.
Are you also doing a workshop? Do you know?
You know, I probably should have reviewed it. My sister died and I've been teaching, and my best friend died. And so it's like my last couple of months has just been like, oh, right, Oslo. Oh, right. Class teaching. Each thing, it's like I just kind of get pulled in the moment to it. I think I might have said yes. I can't remember.
Are you a person that likes to prepare, or do you like? I mean,
I usually do it.
So
I'm pressurized awareness. I usually do it like the night before.
wait for the pressure to be there.
No, I mean, I'll do a little bit more because I get excited I've started playing with AI and making slides, and I'm excited about. I'm in a third line. I love adventure and new things. It's like, oh, this is going to be fun, but I'm not very good at becoming an expert in anything because I just want something new all the time, and so I'm exploring AI and what might be possible of, like I asked it the other day. I said, okay, make an image of a human being being penetrated by the neutrino stream. It didn't know what I was talking about. So I can't remember what it did, but it was not what I was looking for.
AI porn instead.
So yeah, so I'll do some prep work probably and leading up to it. It's yeah, but I haven't done anything yet. And I think I did talk about the workshop, but I forget the structure. I'm working at the Slovakia event and then the Ibiza event in October. And so with you. So there's like lots of little pieces that are needing to come together.
Is this a shift in the later years that you become busy traveling around with teaching human design?
Yes and no. I mean, part of the shift is that it's happening, you know. There wasn't much going on before live, and when they started doing it, when Christo in Norway started organizing, he and I had a good connection through, he studied with me, and he invited me down to the one down in the Danube Delta. And that was the first. No, I'd also been invited to teach on the Canary Islands one time to bring human design there. But mostly it has been online. And again, I think it's really more that it's people are wanting to do live events. And so, and now I'm ready, I mean, there were live events back in the Ibiza days, but I was new. I wasn't ready to do anything. So I like doing it. I think it's really fun to be with people.
How different is it for you online and in the live experiences? And does it wear you out more, or is it more enjoyable? I mean,
well, it's about the same. Like what I'm doing with you now, I would be doing in front of the group. My gate 22 is the only gate unconscious I have, the only gate in my solar plex, and it's in the line of simplicity or something like that. I'm not drawn towards anything fancy. I'm going to have to cough. Hold on a minute. Okay. I won't blast that microphone with my cough. My acting days, it's like, what? No, be careful what you're doing. What was the other part of your question?
So it's about the same. You said, I'm asking if is it wearing you out or is it more enjoyable?
And yes, it wears me out. Because again, do I know when enough is enough? I have my personality Earth is gate 58 in line 3, and it's called the line of electricity, where I can fuel my own self. So when I get excited about supporting and sharing the patterns that'll bring us to the future and return us to the joyous love of life, I mean, then it's just like I'll run with that until probably you leave the room. And and but I've taught some weekend courses online. I was teaching cosmology courses to the Bulgarian students, and I noticed that I did it in 2 days and the full course, and I was really exhausted afterwards, even though I could do it. So then I ended up saying, why don't we I'll do one day and then let's have a break. I'll do another day in a couple of weeks to honor more the system that I have. So at the live events, there hasn't really been anything that's so long, an hour and a half, 2 hours. What was it in Ibiza last time? I went on a bit, didn't I? It might have been 3 hours, but that a break in the middle. Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed the last year Ibiza event. It was such a spur of the moment thing, and like all you guys, all the teachers, everybody just showed up.
Yeah.
Like that, and just shared. There was a lot of memory, going down memory lane about rock and the way that it used to be taught in the old Ibiza days. So I really enjoyed that. And I remember your talk was very different from, because it was you took it away from human and took us forward into when we're like crystals in a way. It was like very, very different. So yeah, but I also remember about you that because everybody got introduced. It was really sweet. Like Jonah's such a fanboy, so he would have all these really cute introductions.
Yeah.
But he was away when Therese was talking. And I remember I was like, oh no, it's a projector. She should be introduced properly. And then all of a sudden you were just behind her, hands on her shoulders, and you just told us who she was.
Yeah.
And I was like, thank you. Thanks. So now I can say to you, like, thank you for doing that. That was like stepping in with something that was needed. And it was really good. So
when she's an old friend also, I love her. So it was easy to do.
Yeah, now we have 3 projectors and ladies also coming. I like that you're female projectors too. It's a different energy in the world.
Have you felt many male? When you say that, I think, do I know any male projectors? I mean, I do, but
yeah, no, I know a lot, but I don't know if I know a few that are deep into human design too, but not in that event. Like in a Ibiza event, there wasn't any like male projectors coming in. Was
Travis?
Yeah, but he wasn't teaching.
No,
so
he was helping with the film crew, but so I saw probably a little bit more of him because I was also working over in that area. That was fun.
Yeah, I look forward to the movie to see whatever came out of that.
Yeah,
those interviews. So yeah, but no, it's like we're kind of getting to that shift where we're actually getting to the projectors. It's been like in the words again, like it's been in the system and in the theory. I don't know if it's theory, but it's been in there with this knowledge that the projectors are the coming leaders. Like we need the guidance to go, but it's like the world hasn't really been ready to ask, what do you guys see? But I feel like we're kind of getting to that now. It's like it's getting to be your time to actually share what you see, and we can hear it, that we can actually listen and get benefit from it. So I am very much looking forward to the Oslo event now.
Yes, so am I. So much so.
Yeah, and I was thrilled when I heard that you were the last little with caramel or like this little carrot.
Yeah, yeah. I was so happy because I had originally planned to go to the States, um, because my friend here was going through a process of dying. So I thought, okay, I won't normally go in April, and I'll go in when I have free time in the fall, and because of my sister, and then things got moved around. Um, life got shorter, but it meant that I was also going to do a thing in the States of teaching, and I decided not to go to that and stay here because now I've already been in the States. So then it opened up the possibility for Oslo, and so I let Jess know. She had invited me earlier, and I was like, I don't think I can. And I thought, well, now I can. And she said, good, there's room. So I was happy.
So we are happy too. And I also remember, I think you mentioned your friend. It might have been somebody else, but you mentioned already last year in Ibiza somebody dying.
Yeah, we cared for her in June also, through her process. And it's kind of, I mean, it's been pretty tough. I won't talk too much about it because I'll just cry. But all three of these beloved ones of mine, the one who died last June, and then my friend in May, and my sister in June here, all had different forms of lung disease. They all died because of their lungs. I thought, isn't that odd? Because they were all different in the same organ. And I have been living under the transit of outer planets in the gate 36 of crisis, and I have my Jupiter in the 35. So I've just been, being banged about by all the various things of new experiences. Here's another experience. And the crisis of, can I manage it? Because my commitment to all three of them had been that I would be there to help care for them in their transition. And so, yeah, that it's one thing to just objectively, say, oh, it's sad, we've lost somebody. But when you're in the process with them, it's very intimate, and it goes very deep inside you, and also once they're gone, because when you're so intimate in that process, and then they're gone, and there's just, in a way, the void, it's just, yes, the memories, yes, crystal somewhere and stuff, but the reality of the being. Yeah. So yeah, that's been, but on the other side, in January, I got two baby granddaughters born, twins, that are manifestors to my manifestor son. So, and they have my son has got, my boy has the 3536, which is what was bringing in all these things to my life. And the girls were born with that as their manifesting channel. So, life
How lucky for
lays it
them.
out in front of us. Huh?
How lucky for them that they have a dad that also carries this. I mean, it's quite an energy to have.
Yeah. Yeah, they'll be fine. He was fine. It was good. I didn't know about human design till I was around 15. And when I explained the repelling aura, that was the most important thing for him to understand, because he didn't understand why his friends would go and do stuff and wouldn't invite him, and he would be really sad about it. Yeah. And I said, well, you've got, now I understand. And Jovian was doing a scholarship for one of the Ibiza events, saying, make a video about what human design has done for you or has meant for you. And the person that we like best will get a free ticket in for the Ibiza event. And so I did an interview of my son in his little sweet 15-year-oldness. And that's what he talked about. It was like understanding that he's to inform, and that he is, he was already moving into adulthood, so it wasn't so much about asking permission, but that he can initiate the contact with them instead of waiting, although he's emotional. So there is I just said, he goes, well, how do I wait, Mom, if I'm a manifester? And I said, I guess you don't wait. You just don't initiate where you don't have clarity. just move where you're clear, because if you move where you're not clear, you're going to create chaos. And that has helped him a lot.
Mm.
Yeah.
Good advice, that.
Yeah.
Are these your first grandbabies?
No, I have a 5-year-old, Nikki's firstborn, projector, a 3.5 projector. Yeah. With the 1858, just like Nana. He's the most beautiful being on the planet, besides my son and all the other people I love.
I mean, I know that we're genetically, we're more alike our grandparents than our parents, but I mean, this is almost uncanny, having a very similar design. So
Yeah,
they say Nana, is that what they
I'm
call?
Nana. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that the Danish name for the grandmother didn't really work for me. And
Best mom?
no, it would be a father's mother. So
Oh,
farmor,
yeah.
they say here. And Amalio, my grandson, his mom is Austrian, so he speaks German, he speaks English, and he speaks Danish.
Hmm.
And so Oma and Opa were already taken from the German side. And my grandmother, my mom's mom, her name was Nana. We called her Nana. And Nikki came to me and he said, "Mom, would you be okay if they called you Nana?" And I was like, "I'm not Nana. Nana's Nana." And then, but my grandmother was a manifester.
Hmm.
And both of my grandmothers were. And then all of a sudden I thought, just like a warm love expanded inside of me of saying, I'll carry Nana with me. That name, that'll make me think of Nana every time. So when Malia runs, he goes, "Nana, Nana." It's like, yeah, here I am.
And easy to say early on, it's close to
Yeah,
mama, Nana. It's a good one.
yeah, yeah.
Well, they're lucky to have such an aware Nana in their lives. So
Yeah, well, I'm lucky that
maybe
I
they.
have them, I mean, I'm just so grateful to be able to have love in my life, and an orientation towards caring and support and kindness instead of the way that my life started. So, yeah,
Yeah, I have a lot of respect for, because I have carried around since last year the Ibiza thing, what you said about being there for someone when they die, like through that process, and I have a lot of respect for that, and
I know.
especially I guess as a projector, like you say, like you actually you take part in it, and then you like with the whole transition.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of respect for that. It's
Yeah. Unfortunately, it was ironic because with my friend last year, Veroni, she's a manifester, and we were with her, and she'd spent a lot of time in spiritual, most of her life in working with spiritual teachings and that. And so when she knew that her shift was coming, she just put a sarong over her head and sat in the bed just sat every day. And if people would come in, I mean, the care people would come in, and she would say, "Stop." This is a manifester, stop. An ego manifester. And they say, "Well, we've come to take care of your body things." And okay. And then she would say, "And now go. No food, no nothing. Stop everything." And she just held the space until her spirit left. And with my sister and with my friend, in both cases, I had planned to be in room with them. And that wasn't the journey. That's why I was with my friend Hella, and I found out my little sister was being put into hospice, and she had said to me on the phone, "I'm scared." And I was like, immediately my sisterness is like, I gotta be there. And I said, "But I've committed to you, Hella, and I keep my word. I would not leave you." And she's like, "You go. It's your sister. You go." And I was very torn, but I also couldn't not go. Yeah. And so then I go to California and I spent a month there with my sister. And in that time, my friend died. So I couldn't be there with her. And so then I came back to help take care of her, clear up her apartment and organize the funeral and all these things. And then my sister goes when I wasn't there. So it was sort of a curious thing to, like, I felt like I had left them and let them down. But this is what life gave me this time. And there's also, that's okay. It is okay. Because that's what's so, it's like,
It's a no choice bit again, I guess. It's like,
yeah, it's just
how it was.
The way it worked. But that also did a lot of teaching, a lot of processing for myself in that. I did manage to, with my sister, I knew she was in leaving soon. So I asked her husband to hold FaceTime. Yay for modern technology. I go, I'm going to FaceTime Lisa. Would you just hold it up in front of her? And it was about 12 hours before. I also spoke for 2 hours before, or I spoke and she was pretty much non-responsive. But the time before I was able to have her say some, he goes, she's talking more now. She didn't open her eyes. I said, can you open your eyes? And she was like trying to, and she couldn't. And I said, I love you. She said, I love you too. And then the 2 hours before phone call, I just chattered about, to her. And then I said, well, Lisa, I was going to fly the next day. I'm trying to get on a flight, come to you and stuff. So stick around for a while because I want to be there with you. And then I said, and if I don't make it, I'll meet you in the clouds. Okay. And he goes, she just kind of lifted her eyebrow just there. That's just my sister. And I'm like, what? Okay. I'll meet you in the clouds. And so yeah, the stories.
Yeah. Also, because this is a human design related thing, and I'm noticing that 22. I'm noticing the grace in the way you talk about it. So beautiful. But yeah, and that is life. It's new grandbabies and losing loved ones. It's part of it.
Yeah. And watching your own body age, I mean, it's so fun when I was on the obese event last year, everybody was being so nice and like, oh, here, can I help you up there? And I'd be like, okay. Hadn't really experienced being treated like the elder because I'm like, I just go with things. And to start watching that, that's why, when I talked about crystals on the Ibiza thing, is because that's one of the things that my friend passing last year helped me to really connect to not identifying with this life alone, not like to completely close into it, but to see that we are these crystals of consciousness that have been here since the initiating point of this universe. Same crystals, we're an aspect of all of them. Everybody's carrying a fractured element of that. And then we'll drop this body, we'll drop this personality structure, and we'll do whatever it is that it does when it's not in this kind of a structure, and maybe come back, maybe who knows what we do? I don't know, but I know we don't stop. And there's something very comforting in that. It's like, and that's what I shared with my friend and with Lisa. Um, that's where you're going. You'll be okay. But I didn't want her to be scared. So yeah. So that helps to keep that in the holding space of you and I, we're these crystals watching this beautiful life that we're living that's full of so many turmoils and joys and challenges and losses and gains. And I mean, it's just, and we get so caught into it, so merged into it, that we think this is it.
Very convincing.
Yeah. Well, I have on my iPhone, I have a little stand here, and I have the iPhone, you know how you can have the pause screen, pause, and I have it on a rotation of all pictures of my little Malio. The babies are coming in now too, but so every time I sit here and the phone, something happens on it and it wakes up and there's another picture of Malio there, and I just smile and I'm happy, and then I keep sharing human design to because I spend a lot of time here in the computer sharing human design. Yeah.
Well, that's a service. So thank you for
Yeah.
doing that. And it's been interesting for me to watch this exploded interest in this field that I've had love for a long time. So
Yeah. Well, and your design is a generator?
I'm a manifesting generator, 6-2 triple split cross of defiance. So yeah,
Oh, I love the cross of defiance.
everybody says that, but I don't
Yeah,
think
well, it was my dad's.
Yeah.
No, it was my dad's, and I mean, that's because I'm in service of individualism, and there you go. It's just like, I defy you to make me fit into your box.
Yeah, I think that's part of why I absolutely loved when Raw was just like slaying through the things that I've been taught, the things that how I thought there was supposed to be, and then it's like, oh, but it is, and then this clarity, this clear cut, no nonsense way of explaining the thing. So yeah, and also, I mean, I got more affected by Ra's death than any of my grandparents. It really hit me. I was like, what? I remember like opening my computer that day, and it was like, he died. It's like, what? So very much impacted by the message that he came, and I'm so grateful. So that's why I like thank you for that service, that you're sharing this from your point of view, like how you see it. So it's valuable.
Yeah.
And thank you for this conversation. It was
Yeah, this was fun.
yeah, we never know where it ends, but this seems like a good place to round it off. And
yeah.
really look forward to Oslo now that this was the last episode of the conference podcast. So
Okay. All right.
so
Yeah.
let's hope we get the last ticket sold, because you are coming. So let's see. Well worth.
Well, we're driving up. My husband's, we have friends in Oslo, so we're driving up, and he's
So
going to
you've
go
been
hang out with.
So you've been before?
Yeah, I love Norway and Oslo. First time I came to Europe was when I was 17. I turned 18 here, and then I hitched around in Norway with a girlfriend.
Wow.
And you know, they were two Dutch guys in one of those Citroën, the lemon ones, those little funny, skinny little ones. But going with them was the only way we could get on the ferries going across the fjords.
Oh wow. Oh, we probably could have done an hour just talking about the Norwegian
so beautiful there.
Yeah,
It's so beautiful, and it's a good country too. Takes good care of its people.
Sometimes. But compared to a lot of other places, it's good. It's really good. So welcome in September, and I look forward to seeing you.
Yes, me too, Birgitte. Thank you for our time together.